everyone. I'm Erin Burnett, and out front tonight, message in a bomber. The Pentagon announcing today it's going to be flying nuclear-capable B-52 bombers over South Korea. It's part of a joint military exercise intended to send a signal to North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. Now, North Korea appears to be sending some very strong messages of its own as recently as today. We have a new video that we found posted to a semi-official government website in North Korea. It's basically a portrait of a violent attack on the U.S. Capitol and a gun sight that zeroes in on the White House. Now, I want to emphasize that we can't verify the authenticity of the video, but I can tell you this. It is the second one that we have found that depicts a North Korean attack on U.S. soil. The other, which was posted to the same website last month, showed a nuclear strike on New York City, set to the song We Are the World. Out front tonight, Democratic Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger, the ranking member on the Intelligence Committee. And good to see you, sir. I appreciate your taking the time. And I just want to ask you first about this video that we found, the second one, as I said, in just over a month. These are propaganda videos put out by the government, but they're new under Kim Jong-un. And just this week, North Korea said it could launch a preemptive nuclear strike against the United States. I mean, you're on the Intelligence Committee. Should the United States be seriously preparing for something, even if it's a dirty bomb placed in an American city, not a missile, or is this really all just bluster?
Look, we have to be very serious about any threat attacking the United States or killing American citizens. And also, as it relates to South Korea, we're 100% with South Korea. They're our allies, and we need to also stand behind them. Now, Kim Jong-un is a young, immature leader. He's 28 years old. He is now in charge of a government and a country that will not allow his own people to leave the country. They're treated terribly in a bad situation. And he's the type of individual that really concerns us because we don't know what he's like. He's immature. He has no experience in running government. One day his father died and he becomes the leader. We know that North Korea, for a long period of time, their whole mode of operation basically is threatening. But we also know that they're dangerous because they have nuclear weapons, they have ballistic missiles, and we have to take that very seriously. I'm glad the Secretary of Defense Hagel took a position that we're going to improve and we're going to add more defense to any type of missile that could come on the west coast of the United States, Alaska and also California.
And I want to ask you about that, but first, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Ashton Carter, is in Seoul today for those joint military exercises I referenced, and he said North Korea's threats would only deepen Washington's defense commitment to Seoul, and that U.S. budget cuts wouldn't alter our defense of South Korea. But we have 30,000 troops in Seoul, second only in combat units to Afghanistan. It is a massive commitment, and with all the cutbacks we're seeing in the Defense Department, isn't this an area that has to be up for some trimming, just by definition?
Well, we have to prioritize, but we always have to be on top of our national security when it deals with American lives and threats from other governments, terrorist groups, and issues like that. The good news, even with the sequestration issue, which is really a problem that needs to be resolved, is that when it comes to the Department of Defense, they have the ability to be able to prioritize where the money goes. Under this new threat of North Korea, we have to stand strong, and we have to make sure we do whatever we do, because we don't know what this leader's like. We don't know what he's going to do, and know whether or not there's going to be provocation.
A recent poll shows 2/3 of South Koreans want to develop nuclear weapons. They support that. Should South Korea have them?
Absolutely not. Not only should South Korea not have them, but the other countries in that region. And we can't have countries getting nuclear power in order to protect themselves. And that's why the United States needs to stand behind their allies. But there's another issue here, too, and that's China. China needs to stand up against North Korea. And, you know, in the United Nations, the sanctions that were voted on in the United Nations, one of the first times that I've seen China vote against North Korea. China has their own issues, and they don't want the volatility of war occurring in their region. And North Korea is in the southern part of China. So we need to keep working with China. And something that's positive that China is now starting to stand up and work with the United States and with the other people in the region to make sure that North Korea does not continue what they're doing right now.
Well, let me ask you a little bit more about China, since obviously you believe
sure.
they're so important here. China is now saying that America's decision to bolster its missile defense system on the West Coast would only antagonize North Korea. Gordon Chang, though, the author of Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World, has been a regular guest on this program, and he said last week that China has been selling North Korea missile launchers for the KN-08 missile. So I wonder, from your perspective, do you think China is saying the right thing, but behind closed doors building up North Korea as the U.S. against the U.S. as a backdoor way to avoid having to confront the U.S. itself?
Well, look, the first thing to relate to the fact of China criticizing us for increasing our defense, our missile defense, everything has to be on the table when it comes to protecting American lives or having another country threaten to attack the United States of America. We will do whatever we have to do that is legal and pursuant to all the international issues to protect our citizens. So China has a lot of rhetoric. China is doing things that we're concerned about right now. There's cyber attacks, issues like that. But the good news is that China, for the first time, stood up against North Korea. China is the only country right now that can really tone down the rhetoric and tell the new leader of North Korea that enough's enough, and that we're not going to tolerate these threats and your nuclear issues anymore.
The National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon, said something strange last week that I wanted to play for you and get your reaction. Here he is.
The United States will not accept North Korea as a nuclear state, nor will we stand by while it seeks to develop a nuclear-armed missile that can target the United States.
Now, Congressman, that comment confused me because, after all, North Korea already is a nuclear state. During years of American sanctions, the country, of course, tested and then developed a nuclear weapon. So I guess the question to you, a member of the Intelligence Committee, is there no red line for North Korea until they actually launch a weapon capable of hitting the U.S. homeland, which is a point of view that actually is supported by the fact that the president is now going ahead with President Bush's missile defense program?
Let me say this. When another country threatens to attack your homeland, kill your people, we have to be ready, and we will always do what we have to do to protect. Now, remember, we have been in South Korea for a long time, so we understand the North Koreans. We know their strengths and their weaknesses, and we're going to make sure that if they do attack or provocation against our allies, such as South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, that we're going to be ready to assist them and to help them.
Congressman Ruppersberger, thanks very much. And still out front, the president is sliding in the polls pretty significantly. Has he lost his leverage with Republicans? And what does that mean for whether your taxes are going up? And Stephen Colbert talks to CNN about his sister